Welcome to the fairest show on television. Tonight from inside, thankfully, in Des Moines, Iowa. Our long and arduous journey from Omaha is proof that the weather is going to play a dominant role in every part of this year's caucus. It is the storyline, and it's going to affect who shows up. It's going to affect whether they're able to show up, and it's going to affect the candidates being able to make their closing arguments. And the weather is all the more important because it is a caucus. And caucusing requires something very different than just voting in a primary. You got to drive through the snow on a bitter cold Monday night. Then you got to stand around for a few hours inside the local VFW hall or a local gymnasium. You got to write the name of your candidate on a ballot. You got to turn it in. You got to wait for it to be counted. Several candidates have canceled their final campaign events today. These were their chances to make the final arguments. And those cancellations could very well continue into tomorrow. There's a good chance the weather is going to continue to deteriorate. The Hawkeye State is expected a real feel, otherwise known to us common folk as the wind chill, of a negative 30 degrees come Monday. Think about the dedication it takes to leave your house when it's negative 30 outside. Yet at least two of these candidates, unsurprisingly, say they expect, ... they also need their voters to show up.
Our voters are people that are, by and large, committed caucus goers. They've signed up with us. They're in it. They're going to turn out.
It's going to be negative 15, but I'm going to be out there, and I want you to go out there.
So Monday is going to be a test not only of the candidates' organization, right, their ground game, but not necessarily their breadth of support, the top line number, but the depth of their support. Bob Vander Plaats, he's the most evangelical leader in Iowa. He argues that the challenge of the weather and turnout favors DeSantis specifically. If you believe the ground game, there is a potential he could upend the former president in Iowa. He has by far the best of the ground operation I've seen. Now, Vander Plaats is, of course, biased because he has endorsed DeSantis. If we're to believe the polls, it's a battle for second place. The polling average from our partners at DDHQ show President Trump leading by 37 percentage points. Nikki Haley, second, followed by Ron DeSantis. We've seen a switch between Haley and DeSantis in the past couple of days. History tells us whoever does well in Iowa will likely see a boost heading into New Hampshire, which would prove crucial for Nikki Haley. For someone like Ron DeSantis, a third-place finish could be the end of his campaign. And for the elephant in the room, former President Trump is going to look to avenge his second-place finish in 2016. We start tonight with the state of play on the ground, 96 hours from the caucuses. David Drucker, senior writer for The Dispatch, Iowa State Senator Mike Bousselot. Gentlemen, good to see both of you. Mike, start with you. You've been here for a while. I get the feeling, even in my drive from Omaha to Des Moines, there's something happening just underneath the snow that the polling may not be picking up.
Listen, I think what it's not picking up is Iowans are excited. Even on a cold night, people are going to come out. And what the polling might not be picking up, because it can't pick up, is that organization matters. And just like in Iowa, whether it's farming or work in general, hard work pays off. That hard work from DeSantis and Trump is going to pay off on Monday night, I think is pretty clear.
All right. So, David, the name I didn't hear is Nikki Haley, who has momentum perhaps coming out of New Hampshire, but not the hard work. She just hasn't been in New Hampshire. As you've traveled around, is there an excitement about her?
There's a lot of momentum behind Haley, right? And that's what she has going for her. She doesn't have the organization that Donald Trump has or that Ron DeSantis has. She does have the backing of a super PAC, Americans for Prosperity Action, a Koch-affiliated group. They put their grassroots muscle behind Haley. That's why that endorsement mattered. But it's not the same as the Ron DeSantis super PAC Never Back Down that has been knocking on doors, well over 1 million, I think maybe as many as 3 million in Iowa for several months. Not the same as Donald Trump's organization, which unlike 2015 is a real professional, well-run and extensive grassroots organization. And so I think the question when we talk about second place, well, there are two things to talk about, Leland. One, does Donald Trump get over 50% or not? So that's something to look at. Secondly, the battle for second place. Does Nikki Haley's momentum, which seems to be real, do more for her than Ron DeSantis' ground game does for him? And that's just something we can't know. And the weather that you mentioned is a real wild card.
Yeah, Mike, you've lived here all your life, as I understand it. Have you ever seen, this is what, a once in a decade kind of blizzard?
You know, this is a big blizzard, but the caucuses aren't tonight. And I've heard a lot of people talking about Monday and the cold. Iowans deal with cold. You know, it's the coldest caucus. Well, we deal with February every year. You know, we get out, we work in this weather, we go out and about. There's going to be plenty of time.
Take care of the animals in this weather.
Yeah, you got to go out and take care of the animals. You got to go out and go to work. And we have time to clear the roads. And frankly, we had a warm December. There's plenty of salt to keep these roads, safe.
Iowa has been known to surprise, right? I'm thinking that Obama won in 2008. It totally changed things. Mike Huckabee won here. It doesn't necessarily mean, right, that you're going to win the nomination, but it does sort of change the dynamic of the race. What is it you think, if anything, that has contributed to this sort of change in the race of Ron DeSantis being seen as the alternative to Trump? Maybe nationwide he no longer is. Is he seen as the alternative in Iowa?
I think that's the question. You know, Trump is the brand. He's Trump. You have the DeSantis organization, which has been here forever, all 99 counties. Governor Haley, Ambassador Haley, she's been putting the work in as well. But that organization, as David said, it's a little late to the game. And so can it be made up for with the momentum in the debates and everything else we've seen? And don't forget about the base. Vivek Ramaswamy, expectations are low. But there's a group of the base, including former Congressman Steve King, who've sort of thrown their weight behind him here late in the game.
Wow. David, I'm going to read something to you real quickly. This is from Politico. I know a rival organization, but I thought it was an interesting piece. If we've learned anything, it is the laws of political gravity or axioms about elected politics don't always apply anymore. Traditional voting habits have been thrown out the window. Polling has proved unreliable. And yet here we are again, operating with utter certainty that the GOP primary is already cooked. If there is a surprise on Monday morning, surprise on Tuesday morning as we wake up, what's it going to be? Real quick.
I think the surprise would be that Donald Trump wins, but only narrowly, and that Nikki Haley comes in second. I think those would be two really big surprises. But Donald Trump winning only narrowly, I think, would be a heck of a surprise. Now, look, I could predict to you, Ron DeSantis winning. That would surprise a lot of people. But we could go back
possible surprises.
But we could go back to the beginning of this race and say we saw how that could have happened.
Senator?
The surprise will be turnout. 190,000 is the record turnout. We're going to beat that.
Really?
I believe so. I think
there's that much enthusiasm.
There's enthusiasm, excitement. The campaigns have been working hard. Trump is doing videos on how do you caucus for your first time at every event.
Wow.
You get the white hat with the gold lettering unless you promise to be a caucus captain. DeSantis has 1,600 precinct captains. Those organizations are going to drive people, and Iowans can handle the cold. Caucuses aren't tonight. This snow blizzard you drove through.
This is why you come out, right? This is why we're here, is to get that kind of perspective, because you can't get it from a studio in New York or D.C. talking about this. Gentlemen, it's good to see you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yep, for sure.
Come back to the State Fair.
For sure. We were there. Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.